Many have asked me, how do you approach a GRE reading passage? What is your secret? So in today's video, I'm Chris of Target Test Prep. I'm going to talk exactly about that, dissecting a GRE reading passage in such a way that I can get through it quickly and accurately. The passage we have for you today is a GRE passage about the moon. Before I give it all away, let me show you this passage, and then let me show you the question. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine that I'm doing this question in real time, because I think that's going to be the most helpful for you. So the first thing I would do is I would look at the question really fast, just scan it. This is a big picture question about something in the passage that one of these 5 answer choices is supporting. And the reason I'm doing this is as soon as I realize it's a big picture question, I don't even try to really read the question. I just make sure I read the entire passage. See, if I had noticed that this is one of those word questions where you have to say which word in the passage is most similar to this word in the answer choices, then I know that I don't have to read the entire passage. But here I do. And then once I've read the entire passage, then I'm going to match up the answer I come up with to this question based on the answer choices. Then I am going to answer this question based on what I know about the passage. Now, I don't just go into a GRE passage having no idea what's coming. I know that there is a set structure that's happening. These passages are not there to edify you and describe a factual encounter. This is what happens, one thing after the other. What are these passages about then? They are about a theory or two. The first one is a theory that they partly disagree with. That is, they don't say it's terrible, but they find a reason or two why it's sort of wrong, a little wrinkle in there. Or what's just as common is you will see 2 theories. The first theory, again, is somewhat wrong, and they point out why. And then there's a second theory that is more correct based on certain evidence. So keep that in mind as we go through this passage. Let's do that now. Here we have this, and I'm going to, again, put you in my head as though I'm reading this passage and tell you what I'm doing as I read. Read that first paragraph. Since the moon has never had an atmosphere, the great variety of surface features on its terrain must be a result of external impacts. Right away, I think craters hitting the moon. I literally visualize that. It helps me process and simplify this information more easily. Next, a process that requires both the method of impact and compatibility between the impacting material and the moon's surface. A total mouthful, but again, I'm visualizing those craters, and something has to be causing those craters to happen. And whatever that something is, it has to make it so that there's a dent on the moon's surface. Okay, done with that paragraph. Next paragraph. There is some dispute about the origin of the impacting material. Okay, now that's when that light bulb goes on in my head. Aha, here comes theory number 1, but because there's some dispute, probably going to have 2 theories. Let's read on. Some astronomers argue that meteorites and asteroids are responsible for the craters. Okay, so that's theory number 1. Then it says yet. Look at that word yet. You know that they're going to disprove, or not completely disprove, but again, somewhat disagree with this theory. And it says the distribution of crater types and the isotopic composition of liver samples cast doubt on these hypotheses. Again, cast doubt. It's soft language. It's not saying, oh, but yeah, this theory is actually totally wrong. And that's always important because it allows a little bit of room and a little bit of nuance and subtlety. And notice now comes that second theory, more probable. I'm reading in the middle of the paragraph, is the contribution of comets. Aha. Theory number 1 was it was meteorites and asteroids. Theory number 2 is it's actually comets. And then it goes on to say it can be through direct impacts or fragments. That last sentence there is a little complicated, a bit of a mouthful. I don't focus on it too much. I know that if need be, I can always come back to the passage at the end rather than spending time rereading that sentence over and over again. If it turns out one of the answer choices needs me to come back and read that part, I go ahead and do that. But with this general picture in my mind, what's so great about it is I go to the question now. And I can answer this question mostly, or at least know which answer choice is right and which one is wrong just based on that quick analysis. So let's take a look at the question. Which of the following is most strongly supported by the information in the passage? Here, I can't really answer the question without, of course, looking at the answer choices. But again, I'm armed with the proper knowledge, so let's start with A. The moon's craters are more likely to have been formed by material from the asteroid than by comet fragments. Just now, when I did that quick analysis, we knew that the theory was that the evidence supports comet, not asteroid. So right away, I get rid of A. B. Craters formed by comet impacts are more numerous than those formed by asteroids. That's a nice trick, but in my brain, or just now when we were doing this, we didn't talk about them being more than one or the other. We were saying, hey, the evidence is pointing to asteroids not being the source. It's pointing to these comets, these comet impacts. So it's not a question of more numerous than the other. So I get rid of B. C, comet fragments are more likely to have creative features consistent with fragmentary impacts than asteroids are. This gets at the heart of the passage that comets are more likely cause of craters or impacts than asteroids are. And that I circle as my answer. Now it says comet fragments, a little bit of a subtlety there, and fragmentary impacts. Just to be sure, we go back to that last sentence. It says, while it is likely that fewer craters have been formed by smaller fragments than by direct impacts. But I can see this is just getting into the specifics. Basically, the big picture is it was the comet, not the asteroid or the meteorite. So based on that, I know I circle C with confidence. Then I go down to D. Astronomers generally agree that direct comet impacts are rare on the moon. They never talked about whether they were rare or not versus the not direct ones, so I get rid of D. E, the isotopic composition of lunar samples rules out the possibility of asteroid impacts entirely. That word entirely just jumps out at me. That is an extreme word. It means basically impossible or never. And that's the kind of language that you know right away is a red flag on the GRE. Get rid of E, and there you have it. So let me run through really quickly what I did there. Again, I read the entire passage. I anticipated that there's going to be a theory or two. I made sure I understood the setup by visualizing it and simplifying it in my head. I read through the theories, anticipating what they were saying, simplifying it, saying theory number 1, asteroids, meteorites, theory number 2, comets. And when I got to the end and there was that kind of tricky sentence, I kind of glossed over it because I knew I might not even have to know it, as was the case here, to get the question right. And there you have it. There is my secret sauce to answering the GRE reading comprehension question. For other helpful tips like this, don't forget to click on the link in the description below. We also have an excellent 1,200 word vocabulary list that has the most common words. And I know this was about reading comprehension, but of course it never hurts to know those words as well, as half of the test is about vocabulary. And finally, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below as well. And I, Chris, will see you next time.